Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.
Why, hello, and welcome to My Whiskey Den, your favorite public access whiskey review show where craft whiskey is king. We are also a proud part of the Bar Cart Co-op with other fantastic shows like Distillers Talk and Bourbon Turntable. Now, Mike, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while.
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm digging it. Oh my God, what the heck is this?
Mike got a new one.
Mike loaded all sorts of new stuff. You want to run it, or do you want me to run
it? You know what? You start, and I'll go whenever you're ready.
Well, we usually ask Mike to tell all our fans something right at this moment. So go ahead, Mike.
All right. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification to find out when new episodes are coming out, which are usually Monday nights, usually our evening with series. Also, don't forget to share with your family and friends. Leave a comment down below, or leave a comment if you're watching us live in the chat on YouTube. Not on Facebook tonight because Facebook is not playing nice.
That is correct. And that's on fire. That's live, people. That's live. That's why he's the best in the business at that. That's fantastic. Fantastic. It's good to see everyone in the chat. Thank you for stopping out early. I see Spencer's in there, John, Renita. Oh, people from Texas. You guys have such a strong following in Texas and the southern states. It's great to see.
We're huge in Texas.
Huge. We act technically, yeah. Actually, we are. Yeah. We're big in Texas.
Yeah. Everything's big in Texas.
No. Now you got me thinking about it. So you got me scaling things. But there's no need to do that.
Cue the clip from Pee Wee.
That was on here, but that's gone now. But we're not going Texas. We're going Tennessee or Tenne-sourced. So this evening we're having two. Actually, technically, Mike's going to have two. I apparently drank the Nelsons at some point. I went through my entire whiskey stash of 3 different sections of mini bottles. My apologies. I do not know what I did there, but I'm more than excited to see Mike's thoughts on that and the single barrel Blue Note that we have that was a pick by Whiskey Business. So out in Canyon Lake, but this one drops in at 62.75%. So it has a little heavy undertone on that single barrel, which is nice to see.
It's got a little oomph to it.
Little oomph to it. So before we go any further, how is everyone in the chat doing tonight? And what are you guys drinking? Mike, do you want to start? Which way do you want to start tonight?
Well, might as well start with the Nelsons and get it out of the way.
Okay, we can do that.
And I don't mean that in any bad way whatsoever.
That falls on me. Falls on me on that.
You know what? It says something about it that you drank it already and you couldn't hold off.
That's true. It's all gone.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I like the Nelsons because I like the story about, these guys they're driving around, or they knew there was family history. They found where the old distillery was. They have brought the name back. Their first one, the Sour Mash, that's the one that's on the graphic there. That's very similar to the original label, almost identical to the original label that because they did find some of that stuff. Yeah. And that one, the Tennessee Sour Mash, it is their distillate. And it's aged between 2 and 5 years. But the other one that they had forever, which I was a pretty big fan of, also from BR Distilling, the Belle Meade. Mm-hmm. Which Belle Meade, and now it still exists, but it has a new name. It's Nelson Brothers Reserve, totally different label. But this was, I believe, back in the day, I think, was a sourced label that the old Nelsons used to use. Fun fact, at least at this bottle right here, which is not what we're reviewing, This is actually bottle number 666, batch 9. So I can have fun drinking that. Also, just for the two little horsies on there, notice they're not on top of the bottle, causing people to lose their minds. These two horses on there, they were from the original label, and one of them is Bonnie Scotland, who begat lots of winning horses from her lineage, including, I believe, Secretariat and some others. The other one, his name was Brown Dick. Who didn't win any races, but apparently he was a hell of a stud.
Yeah, he lived up to his name.
He sure did. But if you can find Bellmead, like I said, they're going away. They might be already gone. Those were really good. But we're talking about the Nelson's Greenbrier Tennessee Sour Mash, which is, as I said, it is their distillate that they make there, and it's not expensive. It's still out there, and you can find it. They're keeping that one on because it's their label. But
I'm gonna bring this.
Yeah,
it's a pretty label. While you talk, that's exactly what I was gonna say. So it looks like original, and it does. It has that really nice old time feel. Like when you find old Dusties, it has that similar feel to it. So I'm glad that they kept that, because there's a lot of going away from that. And I think that's what draws you to a bottle sometimes.
Yes.
So it's like really unique. Like,
And it's like in the 30s, I think, for a bottle, which is, I mean, yeah, we're not talking, this isn't,
that's an easy try for whatever happens here.
But it is 100% not, like, again, I understand it. People have a problem when you say, oh, it's Tennessee Lincoln County processed whiskey. A lot of people drift to Jack. I don't hate Jack. I like Jack. Really like Jack single barrel proof. That is some fantastic stuff.
Yep.
But this does not nose like that. This ain't Jack. It is the Lincoln County process, but as people will tell you, even people Jack Daniels, it's bourbon, but then it goes through this other process. So it's bourbon. But who cares? It's whiskey, and that's what we're here to enjoy. But this sour mash from Nelson's, it's I mean, there's definite corn, but it's not a heavy corn like you get with something like I get with some bean products, where you just get a really heavy corn nose. And certainly no heavy corn nose like the 100% sweet corn we had last week.
Exactly.
that was a good corn nose, but that's heavy on the corn. But it's very there's vanilla and buttery warm bread, and then like a little raisin to it. It's very nice. And I say it's not it's not a very, how should we say this? It's not trying to be some 14-year-old whiskey that somebody's sticking in a bottle and calling it their own. This is their distillate. It's 2 to 5 years. It is my understanding, supposedly the same recipe from the old the old sour mash, but it is it's got a really nice nose.
I put you up here because I was having a hard time watching you. I almost accidentally started drinking some of the stuff I had here just because I felt
some other stuff
into it. Yeah, it's like, oh,
it's got a very pleasant nose. I do get, the more I nose into, I do get more of the corn out, but it's not heavy on corn at all. And I'm going to go into it. It is 45.5%. Wow. It's like Cracker Jacks. I was going to say corn, caramel, and nuts, but that's a Cracker Jack. It is. It's like Cracker Jacks on the palate.
Cracker Jacks.
And then there's tobacco. Like a little. So if you were a kid and you got a Cracker Jack and your prize was a cigar, this would bring back all your memories.
This almost just brings me memories of Grandpa, but I'm just gonna tell you that. You know? Yeah.
It's no, it's very. It's. I'm gonna pour more. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I'd only had it one other time, quite a long time ago, and the environment and everything that I was in was not conducive to like trying to make notes out of it. But it's got a very, very pleasant nose to it.
Oof.
And as I have it again, there's more of the nut. And there's almost a little cherry to it. But the caramel is really coming out. And actually now after having it a couple of times, it's kind of like a cooked caramel. So it's just got a little bit of darkness to it. Well, there you go, Emily. You're in good company.
Whip it down there a little extra, a minute and a half or so it really kind of darken in color.
Little something to it. It's really it is really nice. I do like this. I like that sour mash. The flavor sounds delicious. I like it's not the kettle corn, but it's like a little bit overly into the caramel edge on it. Yeah,
so it sounds delicious. And obviously it was whenever I had it, because I don't normally just pound a sample. So
yeah, I do mean this. I would definitely, if I'm in a liquor store looking to buy something just for, to have it for every day, I would totally get this as a certainly as an everyday sipper. It's pretty good.
That's another list we should start looking at, because now finding something in the, like you said, the $25 to $35 range is almost like your daily sipper now, where in the past it was 20, and if you were really honest, it was 9 to 20. If you're hitting a certain range where it was like, yeah, I can have this whenever and it doesn't matter, and it's still pretty good. But I think like
Mellow Corn and Evan Williams Bottled and Bond.
Yes,
there's your 9 to 20 right there.
Wild Turkey 101.
Yeah, see, it's usually over 20 around me.
Just
a little bit over.
Really?
Yeah.
I can get like a 7.5 for like $10, or maybe like 15 now. I mean, it's pretty cheap around here.
Wow.
We'll take you to some liquor stores when you come, Mike.
Might have to do some muling.
Might have to do some muling. We'll have to send you home with some stuff.
You have to figure that out. But no, that Nelson's really good. I'm sure you enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I do have my blend going already.
Oh, very nice.
With both of these on there. So,
just before we move further, responding to what I was apologizing for was your earlier comment, and I didn't put the right name at the end of it, is that Jack Single Barrel Proof is amazing. And Mike was saying the same thing. Totally agree. I don't want it to blow up, but most underrated big brand whiskey that's out there right now, in my opinion.
But you know what's great about it? And there's a few other brands that are like this. Jack Single Barrel Proof. They make a lot of it. It's priced really good. But the ones where you might get the standouts, there's a lot of people doing single barrel picks of single barrel proof. And that's great. It's different, whatever. But it's kind of, like Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey's not going to run out of 101. They're definitely not going to run out of Russell's Reserve. Russell's Reserve single barrel. I can't even talk now. Russell's Reserve single barrels, they're all over the place. They're priced great too. Mm-hmm. But they're making so much of it that, I cannot imagine a world without Russell's Reserve single barrels, because they're just solid. Mm-hmm. Anytime someone's like, hey, I got $50, I want to have something good. Russell's Reserve single barrel, right? It's around $50, $55. Fantastic choice. Jack Single Barrel Proof, they're like 60s around me.
That's what I was going to say.
Still
mine's
super
50
solid.
to 65, and I'm like, those are the rye. There's one or two other ones, and I'm like, they range from, let's say, like 50 to 70 here, and I'm like, really solid picks all the way around. I mean, whenever you have those. So
I have not gotten to have the Single Barrel Proof rye yet. Maybe someday, but I've got like 3 Single Barrel Proof picks. And they are all different, they're all different, and you wouldn't think it's something because they're all in the 130s, for proof. Exactly. So you're like, okay, how different is it going to be? There's a nice flavor difference too.
There is
different hugs from different family members.
People forget there's stuff that has to go into like Sinatra releases and stuff where it's pretty crazy. And those are tasty as all hell too. So there's clearly stepping stones hidden in there. So, all right, sorry, I didn't mean to derail us, but yeah.
No, I think that's good, informative. We were on the Tennessee Trail there.
Oh, yep. All right, now we're going to Blue Note Whiskey. They have several releases. They are sourced whiskey. This, though, is like kind of their single barrel release program. I was going to say that anything that's 10 years kind of falls in that range for them. Like I said, this one is 62.75%. Excuse me. I did not mean to do that. Where the heck was this? Distilled in Tennessee and bottled by R&R in Memphis, Tennessee. So at least it's all in Tennessee. It's not going really far away.
So that means most likely it's Dickel. Most likely.
And we'll see if Kevin's tasting notes come up in this or not. But I remember liking this quite a bit, and it was something that a lot of other people did too.
Even their standard. I've got two Blue Notes. I don't know where the hell they are. Oh, down there behind me. That are these are unfiltered ones. Man, they're good. They're super good. There's nothing wrong with sourcing.
Well,
and sometimes you can't be totally transparent, and that's understandable. But some people use that as a means to deceive.
And
Blue Note is not.
Yeah.
So
they're very, very open about it from the beginning about what was going on and blunt about it. Like, here, this is this, that's that. This is what's going on for this one. It's actually really nice to see. So, all right, I'm going to go on some nose on this. So, much. I don't want to say heavier than the one that you had, but I'm just thinking it definitely is. Because this is like dense, rich, but
I get leather and honey right off the bat.
On the top side of it, I was getting like a chocolate note on the bottom.
I get the chocolate
of the glass. Like the chocolate note was what was coming out first, and then like that honey and leather note a little higher up. But it is like that, like the leather chocolate note is like just like packed in like a snowball. It's there, lemon. It's a really nice citrus note once you get in there, like rolls to the outside of the nose around everything else. Then that really opened that up.
And whatever flavor the Wilma Flintstone ones are.
I don't remember. I only remember Fred and Barney. I don't remember.
I just said that for Kevin's benefit. I'm not getting that at all.
Sorry. Okay, now I'm starting to get a little berry.
Yeah, I was getting some fruit on there. I'm really surprised that at this high of proof how much I can get my nose in there.
Yeah,
and I'm using the big boy glass.
Oh, are you?
I am. I like these. They're more comfortable to hold.
I can see that. But that's almost like, for me, that's almost like a blackberry. Like it's like a really ripe blackberry but it's hard. It's it's hard to smell, but it's like it's a dense part of it underneath that other stuff. But
okay,
a little prune.
So this weekend, I went up and saw my brother-in-law and his sister-in-law and stuff, and we went out yesterday, and she wanted to get an acai bowl. I never thought I would say those words, but it was yogurt with the acai syrup and then all this fruit on it. And so then she comes back into the car and she's like, check this thing out. This reminds me of that smell off of there because it was loaded. I mean, it had blackberries, it had strawberries in it. It has raspberries. It had all that in there under that syrup.
Yeah, and a little bit of a light cookie note, but not a lot. I was gonna say this. It's a lot of the fruit notes and leather and a little bit of chocolate for me. Chocolate for me is like a milk chocolate. I was trying to weigh it between a milk and a really like mild dark chocolate.
No, you know what the milk on the nose? You know what the milk chocolate was for me? Milk chocolate chips.
But which
I recently had some. Nestle, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was gonna say that those are the most notable ones. I mean, I've used obviously other ones, but if you do, there's a distinctive difference between brands. It's totally crazy when you're getting to that. Ooh, that bringing that up and the whole rum thought when you do some of your baking. Let's see how this tastes and if this is along the lines of almost like a cooking whiskey.
Like Renita's comment, the only thing better than straight from the bag, Renita, is when you're going straight from the bag and you're trying to put them back so nobody else knows that you've had them from the bag. Those are the best chips in the world.
Okay, there's a couple of different experiences going on here. I'm going to go with first. It feels fairly light to medium viscosity. Starts out like no burn, no heat at all. It really just flows over. Once you swallow, though, there's a level of heat that like builds, and it's not bad, but it's also, you can clearly tell, making me salivate because I'm having to like swallow like 3 or 4 times as I'm trying to talk right now. It's drying and it has like a nice little wood heat to it at the end. I would say Kentucky hug. Clearly, I have to say Tennessee hug on the finish for me. And then I'm going to get into flavors in a minute, but I'm going to let Mike go because that was like nothing. And then
yeah, it is not what I expected. I was writing down. So I had, it was, and not, this wasn't the first thing that I got. There is oakiness to it, but it's not, as we've all had overly oaked whiskey. This is not that. There's just like a nice hint of oak, tobacco, caramel, vanilla, the chocolate again on the palate. But the finish on it, just like Pat said, it's just kind of there, and it kind of the alcohol dissipates, and there's like almost like a custard, but then like the heat and the flavor and the chocolate and everything it comes back, and it's staying in the front. But the hug is like in the front of my head. It hasn't gone down yet.
It has like this like little front like
round.
Okay, I'm going back. Is that almost, and that's probably the proof. As you can tell, highly under what it is when you're tasting. Sorry, I'll make a judgment on that.
No, say Blue Note, man, they're a bunch of face huggers. They can use that for free. I'll let them.
For me, it's a light butterscotch, honey. Then you get some of the like blackberry. I almost got a touch of kiwi with a lemon in there on the finish here at this point. But the brown sugar kind of comes over the middle of the tongue. Starting to get wood notes. It starts to dry out, but it's like pulling the liquid out of my tongue right now.
I know.
I mean, like this is like exciting because in a totally fun way because you could go through this very quickly because you almost want to go back to try to wet your palate.
Yes, and the front of my mouth is dry, but everything is so moist in the back. It's really I like this a lot. I'm probably going to kill this sample tonight. This is really good.
I was going to say this very good choice. By Whiskey Business, Sons of Wally. Totally.
I've heard really good things about that. There's a 9, a 10, and a 17, and I've heard really good things about their picks. I say that the 2 Blue Notes that I've got, man, they're great. They're really good.
And I do remember where Lori and Eric picked this up. It was by my mother-in-law's place in San Antonio. So this one was the Canyon Lake release. So Texas did get this one. So it is floating out there.
I'm gonna double check something before I speak.
I hope you do, because this is tasty. It's unique. Okay, this is one of the more unique whiskeys just because I haven't had one be that impactful on the finish in a while. It's totally.
I would love to give this to somebody that I knew hated Dickel, Kevin, and then
I think he might have it.
and then let them know, and then say, by the way, that's Dickel, the thing you hate. I'm going to double check something here.
Yeah, but if you hunt or think about it, you can find stuff. Oh, yeah, it's neat. The level of heat and proof for a lot of people, that might jump on a couple people. For me, where that hits, hell, that's the excitement. That's where the roller coaster starts taking off. And I am starting to get a little bit of that, as Mike would say, little face hug here. Like
face hugging.
Like when you have a little moonshine, you start feeling that come back up. This is just coming down, and it has just like a total smiley face. To see this whiskey is dangerous as hell.
You know, when you're out parked by the airport doing some face hugging.
Face hugging. Yeah, but I don't want to tell you, it's not getting around the rest of my head. It is just like,
yeah, it's not going anywhere. It's all here, and it's awesome.
It's almost like it's emanating from my tongue. It's kind of like going on the inside of my head. Whew. I don't know. I might have to set this bottle aside. This might be one of my favorite sourced whiskeys of the year. And I think we were going to mention expanding that into a category just because of the...
I think it should be.
The amount of... what it is, and like we said, high praise for what you do with that. But then also I think we want to recognize the other side of actually producing it in another category. Because that too is an art. Yeah,
there's something to be said for people that sourcing it, being able to pick a barrel, which that's great. You can pick a barrel. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't, sometimes you're good. But also the people that source, but then they do their own blending. That's an art in itself.
Yep.
Or sourcing and doing something like Buzzard's Roost, where they're doing stuff with their barrels to make things nice and happy. Yeah, it's good stuff. I was looking up to see if the Blue Notes that I have, if they're still available. They're not, because I got them from Seal Box. We say Seal Box a lot. It's a great place to get craft whiskey, guys, and they ship basically anywhere. So we certainly don't get anything out of them, but they were like $40 a bottle for an uncut Blue Note, and they're really good. They're really, really good. That's $40 is $40 for a cask strength uncut whiskey. That's ridiculous.
It is. Okay. Like I said, that this does land into that Buzzard's Roost category of things, even though they're putting a twist on it. Like, just as far as like a sourced whiskey, that's pretty damn impressive at 62. Yeah.
We've done several Tennessees in the last few months. I mean, we had Leaper's Fork. We've had these guys. We had, what was the other one that we had recently? I'm trying to remember which one it is. Name is escaping me. Anyway, we've done other Tennessees. Let's just say that. And then of course Chattanooga. Yeah.
So there is a nice little tour there. I mean, like
there
we
is.
talk about saying besides Kentucky, we talk about Colorado being a nice place, and I say Kansas City, just in that area, you have 8 or 9 distilleries, and like I'd say 4 for me are very interesting without even taking a drive within inside of an hour and a half of the place. There's neat little hotbeds like that. Texas, you don't count. You got an ass load of them, and you're all over it.
It takes a week to go from one side to the other.
Yeah, that's the problem. But there's like 50 of them between A to B on the trip. That's the problem. Is like you got to stop every like hour and a half.
For the Texans, which I'm sure people like Renita are all over this. Then you get ones like Still Austin, and they have where the lovely and talented Miss Nancy Fraley picks barrels out that are doing unique things, and they do a release single barrels. They do Nancy's picks. There's a Nancy's pick of Still Austin coming out in the next couple of days that is distillery only, because it's single barrel, and it ain't gonna last. And I'm sure it's really freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this blend of the two of those,
Yeah.
I'm liking the nose.
Before we go here, since I don't have a blend, I'm going to have to come up with something with a blend. I first am going to have a quick sip of some Wood Hat Bourbon Rubenesque, bottled and bond. I don't know if it was bottled and bond, but it's 50% ABV, which leads me to believe that.
You know what? I'll join you on a toast to Gary.
A quick one. We're going to have a little toast to Gary from Wood Hat because it's
Bloody
his
Butcher.
birthday. And there's a lot of opportunity. He's not the only corn wizard in the U.S., but he is one of the people that started the interest in it, and has an immense knowledge. I know we talk about him on here, and you people know, but if you're haven't watched before, Gary's a resource. He's a living library. It is the best way to put that.
Yes.
And
if you haven't watched Gary give an interview, man, you're missing out. Gary is, it's like turning on the fire hose. And Gary and his team there make damn good whiskey.
And as far as like Bloody Butcher, and where a lot of people use parts of it, like Ben said earlier this year, and I agree, he's one of the few people that actually can use like 100% Bloody Butcher and come up with a nice release, because that part is apparently a massive art. And I have to agree, there's a lot of parts where it can be like, say, 2 to 5 where it turns out really well, and at max maybe like 10, 15-ish in a lot of people's. But going up to maxing that out and going with a cast strength release and just smashing it is insane.
But that's also a difference between not knocking anybody else, but somebody like Gary, who he knows the corn, so he's not just grabbing Bloody Butcher and making whiskey with it. He's growing the Bloody Butcher. He knows the properties of it. He tests it out by making cornbread to see if it's ready for what it needs to do for the whiskey. So it's Bloody Butcher, but it's not the same. Maybe he got the same seeds as somebody else, but it sure as hell is not the same Bloody Butcher as somebody else has. And he is definitely doing something unique with his. But yeah, Gary's a hell of a nice guy, and I'm long overdue to visit him again.
Mm-hmm. So cheers, Gary! Happy birthday!
Man, that's good. Man, I got to clean myself up here.
Just intense, and I'm gonna say it, man. That's smooth. There's no peaks. That's a leisurely drive on a Sunday through an amped up level of flavor. And
I will say, I did get a month or so ago, I got to try a hazmat Wood Hat whiskey.
I heard about this from people.
It was so good. You can get it. You can't get it at the distillery, but they have it at the ABV barrel shop. That's the only place that you've got it. I don't know the cost. Don't ask. I know it's high because of what it is, but it's also worth it because of what it is. I mean, it was crazy good. Yeah. I'm gonna go back to nosing the blend.
All right, I'm gonna make my own blend of these two now, just because that's what I have. We'll listen to Mike for the Tennessee blend.
Yeah, I gotta have a little more water here.
Oh, you need to have more whiskey.
No, because of the Bloody Butcher.
Oh, that's true. And as Mike is thinking about that, next week we're gonna be doing a little Clyde's Bay sample. You know what? Because they're actually nice enough to do a sample pack like this.
Yeah.
Found it out at a local store. And there's no better way than to try 3 or 4 whiskeys for someone for, I think this was somewhere between like maybe $8 and $10. It's a good way to get an array of people for that. One of the greatest sample packs for beginner people, and there's Costco's all over the country now. I don't know if they still have it, but it was the Glenmorangie sample pack where it gave you 3 full-size bottles for what used to be about 109. If it's even 150, it's still probably a fantastic deal. It's a great way to take a base whiskey and start exploring how finishes torque and kind of lean on what the original base is, and with enough to go back to each of them over time too. So that's my favorite sample pack, but there are other ones out there that are a great way to try stuff if you don't want to jump. Like some of them, like you have Talisker and Colila and a couple other ones in a sample pack that are in a lot of stores. Well, if you don't, some of those are expensive whiskeys now compared to what they were a couple years ago. I'm like, it's a nice way to try a couple before diving into a Talisker and an Art Bag and something at $70-$80 a bottle now or more.
Yeah.
So kudos to at least having a nice little sample pack. That doesn't happen often. This is really nice.
The nose is really nice, but they don't come together on the palate.
That's fair. I can see how
I get way more corn on the palate. Now, I did have that sip of Bloody Butcher. I did rinse my mouth out a lot. So I'm not getting, there's a definite difference between Bloody Butcher and Yellow Dent. So I'm not getting remnants of the Bloody Butcher, but it is, the blend definitely brings the corn out.
Okay. Do you have another glass by you? Like a clean glass?
I do.
I was going to say, try the Blue Note and some of the Wood Hat. Because they just take for me on what I have.
Which Wood Hat did you do?
I did the Wood Hat Bourbon Rubenesque Ranch Mart Wine and Spirits Barrel Pack.
Oh, that's long gone.
Number 493.
Yeah, that one's long gone. Let me see what I got.
All right. Same thing with the heat where this one pops up from the Blue Note. A little bit tamed down, but then it keeps going. Like this one's building on it. This is a fun blend. This one it's just all packed with flavor from the both of them. It's hard. Yeah. It is hard to experience it because all of a sudden, like I said, it's drying on the bottom side of my tongue, and still I feel like I'm gonna spit out of my mouth. I'm just salivating so much. That Blue Note mixed with anything, I think right now is fun just because of how that thing plays with you.
Yeah, that's what I was going to try to grab something that might be fun. Let me see here.
I might need a little.
Here, I'll try
cleanser.
Because we got this will be on an upcoming show. So we got another Kansas City night coming.
Hell yeah.
Rieger's Bottled in Bond Bourbon.
Ooh. They made that up to the 4 years now. That's exciting.
It's actually more than 4.
6?
I think it's 6.
Okay.
There's two Bottled in Bonds came out within a couple weeks of each other. The Rieger's Bottled in Bond Bourbon and the Holiday. And they are two different types. Rieger's is leans, craft grainy note. And Holiday is like Kentucky bourbon. Because it is also on the same limestone shelf. I can't talk tonight. Same limestone shelf that runs through.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's they're neat. Cool. Nice to see you, John. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, Kevin finally snuck in there. I don't know if Kevin, let me know if I sent you the Blue Note 10 years single barrel I have. I may have at some point. I don't know. Oh, that reminds me. I got to send Renita and people down in Texas that white port finished one that we had. Yep. That's the thing that they're doing. Oh, sorry, Mike. Go ahead. I'm gonna let you.
No, the Blue Note Rieger's is pretty good.
I was gonna say it picks it up and just kind of like kicks up the flavor a bit. It just adds a nice. I don't know. It adds a nice heat to what's there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the Rieger's is doing it. what they're doing is always kind of tasty and solid, and it's
Yeah.
a nice. It feels like still to me when I have some of their stuff, you get a little bit of that sherry butt in some of it, and you get that nice little homage to like the original Dave Pickerel release that they had. For me, it doesn't feel like they're trying to venture horribly far from that. They're just trying to really create their own version of it when they switched over. They
Yeah,
were
and
working hard at it for a while. Plus, the rye was fucking outstanding.
it was, and that's one thing that about Rieger's I find is interesting is they're not trying to make Kentucky bourbon or Kentucky rye, and they are doing it with their own note on it. But the bottled and bond bourbon, bottled and bond rye, obviously are different whiskeys than the standard Kansas City whiskey blend, but they're not following along where it's like we're making a mixer. And then they come out with their monogram every year, which is, much higher dollar and stuff, but totally different. But these, I really like that, spoiler alert for upcoming review. I like the bottled and bond bourbon. Bottled and bond rye was pretty damn solid. Enjoyed that quite a bit.
Yeah. The blend on these just leaves my tongue just the right type of numb, light burn, and flavors. It almost feels like someone flambéed my tongue a little bit. With what's going on, like a burnt caramel, banana for me, and then some fruit, blackberry, strawberry, even a little bit of kiwi. I don't know where the hell that came from, but that's in there.
The combination of the Blue Note single barrel and the Rieger's bourbon, which I know it's not Tennessee, but it brought out more of the burnt caramel note. But then you get it's like burnt caramel on freshly baked pastries, because you're really getting the grain out of there too from that with that Rieger. That was pretty that was pretty tasty. And a little jammy too. I like that.
And John was asking, yeah, I believe it's on the west side of the lake. That's where my mother-in-law lived at that point. So I was going to say that would be my easiest assumption on that. Wouldn't make sense to go to the east. So, but good. Yeah, I was going to say if that's around you and you can stop out there, good choice by them. Doesn't mean they're going to be hitting all of them. That is an excellent way to look at that. And as far as picks, I have to head down to Appleton to pick up a pick by the Secret Midnight Whiskey Club. I believe it is that. I don't know if they made it, or Naismiths made the pick. They did a great northern bourbon, but it's their 6-year-old version. And this is one where they had, I think it was batch 13 that was like off the chart, like insanely good. Like blew 6, 7, all the people around here that I knew, I think we bought up like a quarter of that batch. And that's from some of my friends that don't even like whiskey. They're like, Rick went out and bought like 3 bottles the next day. It was like, if you had applied for that, it was like, oh, you got double gold. Whatever this release is just it's hands down, like it's just rich and insane. They've had other ones, good, never kind of hit that level, but I haven't had one that's been a while since it hit like the 6-year mark that they were looking at. And Brian Cummings has great rum, and they moved from their Plover location, and they believe they're going to be opening up at Stevens Point here later this year. So they were in the middle of a transition during COVID, moving from one city to another, getting everything set up and getting moving again. But a 6-year release of that, I think, I'm pretty excited for having that. And they were doing a Lone Elm single barrel pick. That will be coming up here. That I talked to them about. I didn't get to get down there for that, but I know they did that. Smoking excited for that to be up in our area again. So some other cool things that people are doing, but it's whenever you hear someone or a group actually making a nice pick through a store, I appreciate that, because I don't want to lose my stores being able to make picks or get their hands on picks, because that's how the most of the average people get them. So I appreciate groups that do them through them, and it's neat to see it all come to fruition. Sorry,
yeah, and picks are great. And even it is illegal to buy and sell whiskey on the side. I'll say that as a general blanket statement. It's definitely illegal to buy and sell whiskey using something like Facebook, which is broken and would not let us link to them and broadcast on Facebook tonight. However, there are pick groups and single barrel pick groups on Facebook that you can find, you can locate, and they are ones basically notifying, saying, guys, there's our group. We did a single barrel pick of X, and you can. Single barrel picks are fun. I mean, even if someone makes a poor choice, sometimes funky is great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You get something you don't expect.
Speaking of which, you're talking about some weird shit. friend of mine gave me this for his birthday, and his premise, he went into the liquor store and he's like, I got a friend who's had a lot of stuff. I want something funky. I want something different. And the guy pulled up, and it's an Amador whiskey. I've had Amador before, but this Amador, it is whiskey and hop flavored whiskey finished in Chardonnay wine barrels. No, this is not that bullshit from Sahara Bay.
No. I'm just saying, like, maybe the Chardonnay I can see that like layering over nicely and kind of settling out some hoppiness. Was
funky. This is like,
why the fuck don't I have a sample of that?
I just got it.
Oh, all right.
but, shipping's expensive.
That's true.
I mean, contacting the person who drives up there is expensive. But it was funky. It was like if you did a blind cheese spread, and then in the middle of it you had something like a blue cheese or a Roquefort. You're like, whoa, what the hell was that? That's this whiskey, and it's fun. It's weird.
All right. Well, I think we kind of tangented off there pretty good for a little section there, and a little craft whiskey discussion.
We did, and I'm finishing off that whole sample bottle of the Nelson's Green Brier Tennessee Sour Mash.
All right.
That's good, man. I'm telling you, that's a hell of an everyday.
I think I remember we might have had a quick sample of that on a different show. That was like a side one, and maybe that's why I thought that. But for the price it is, I mean, that's pretty.
It's pretty good.
Insanely tempting, and I think
at that price they could have done it at 40%, and they didn't do it. Not that proof is everything.
Just
45.5.
45. Okay, well at least they went up. I mean, I feel okay. That's a different question. Where do you feel is like the respectability level for most people when you get to percentages? I feel like it's once you start getting 40. I know it shouldn't matter.
It matters.
It shouldn't.
But it doesn't, because we've had some that are like, well, this is 42 and it's delicious.
I agree. But what I'm talking about is the people, the world and whiskey world in general has a perception. Where do you think the whiskey world in general's perception is? Like, where do they think 40, like the flavor?
Plus or minus 2 or 3? I'll say 46%.
That's fine. I was gonna say I think 45 is where I think a lot of people would think it was like, okay, they're not completely chinsing out on it.
Yeah.
Even though like we completely agree with what you said. There's been some 40s, some 42s, some 43s we've had that at that, and it especially at that ABV were very, very good. But when you went up or down, it totally screwed with it. On a rarity, but there have been 2 or 3 when we had them where I was like, holy shit, man, you go up and it's a no-no, and you go down and it's a no-no. That was a damn sweet spot.
I mean, we've had 40s that you're like 100% this is 40. If had 40s that you're like, oh, this is like 46, 47%. Nope, it's 40. And then, we've had some that are higher proof that it's like, this is like 43. Nope. it just, again, it just depends on where they hit that flavor note on there, but I like higher proof just because I like that. I like the hit of the proof, and I like to be able to dial it back the way that I want to. But I also like that flavor explosion. I don't like getting blown out of the water by proof. Now, having said that, there are some times where I'm just like, I want to sit down and I want to get slapped across the face. Mm-hmm. But I have my couple that I know that I can grab because I just want to be slapped across the face, and they serve their purpose, and they're not necessarily hazmats either that do that. It's like, I just know if I had this, I'm going to get smacked around.
Well,
So
not all of them do that, but I was going to say it does. Some of them do leave an impression like that on you.
yes, they do.
What matters. So,
they smack you and you feel it for a long time.
Kevin, my what?
Damn it, Kevin.
Like, oh yeah, I know. I saw that too. We'll put that up there. 93.
Damn it.
Well, and how about this? Even speaking with the Blantons, that's one I think that everyone in the U.S. is stupid to clamor over. But for $50 with the cool looking bottle, I'm not going to shit on you for it. Okay, especially if you've never had it before. I'll probably put you at like more of a $40 range, but the cool bottle is neat. I'm not going to lie about it. And I've been bought in by that a couple of times. Good job for marketing. But when you have their actual single barrel release or their special releases, that shit's legit. Like that's the same thing with like Jack Daniels. But I mean, their release at their price cost probably in the 150, 200 to the 300 range when you start hitting those bottles from them. And a lot of them are shitty because you have to fly overseas to get them, which fucking sucks. But
you could, instead of pursuing something like that, I know that they're good Blanton's bottles out there, good batches, good single barrels. I know that that's good, but circling back to the people that we've had on here, you can go find, instead of finding a Blanton's and you want to get a flavor bomb for that money, for that same money as a bottle of Blanton's, you can still find some of these, or you can get their new Nelson Brothers, which is, at the end of the day, what are you after? You're after good whiskey.
I'll make the comparison because I'm vaguely starting to pull some memories of Nelson Brothers, and flavor wise, I would say them at your 30 might be on the same par of Blanton's at 50, if not already overtaking a little bit of the overall flavor profile. But I know I'm biased because I've had mostly craft in the last couple of years, where I was the other way beforehand.
This at $40, go screw yourself, Blanton's. This was seriously really, really good whiskey. I mean, really, really solid, good whiskey. And no, the bottle is not as pretty, but you know what? Go buy an empty Blanton's bottle and then pour that into it, and there you go.
Oh, no, you're just screwing with people.
I know, but I mean, I know some people want it. And again, I've said this before. I'm one of those people. I have a bottle that has handwritten dates that are significant and something that have to do with me. It's not about the whiskey. It's about what's written on the bottle. For that one, the whiskey is okay. It's more about what's written on the bottle for me. And I know people do that, and you go out and you pursue it. I'm trying to find one on my kid's birthday. I'm trying to find when my kid was born. Here's one of them. That's fine. That's great. That's cool, but it's not worth paying $125 on secondary for.
I wasn't saying that. I wasn't condoning that level.
Oh, I know you're. No, I
just meant like surprisingly, once you bump up or get some special releases from them, it actually is. You see the quality level jump up. But okay, comparing those two, Bland's and their special release versus Jack Daniels and their special release, the price point's enormously different. Like we were saying, Jack Daniels special release is at 50 to 70, and Bland's special release is at 150 to probably 300. So I mean, there's not even a comparison. I mean, there is, and I obviously made it so damn.
You want a good looking bottle though? Jack single barrel proof. That's a good looking bottle.
It is.
Yep. That's a damn good looking bottle. And
now we got
more attainable than Bland's.
Oh, seek the
and if you like Bland's, good on you. I've had some Bland's that's like, wow, that's really good. And I have other ones where you're like, it's all right. It just depends. It depends on the release of it, and it's fine.
So I didn't realize that was unicorns, Emily. Sorry about that. Oh, Jesus Christ. I accidentally hit her and I almost put her in timeout. I don't know. Can you put the wrench in timeout? I don't know how I don't think that works. I would never do so. It would have been an accident.
I don't think you should try that because she'd get back at you.
I made a mistake. I'm already admitting it live. So I just don't want to cover that. Just ask me a question. I was like, whew.
The more I have it, the more I'm really digging that Nelson's Tennessee Sour Mash.
See, and like you said, with the Bell Mead and keeping it and just basically rebranding that kind of lineup, I think I like the idea of that because Bell Mead was a quiet, solid choice on a lot of shelves for a really long time.
With a few really good, they had a Madeira finish. There was a honey one,
did.
which I would have loved to have tried that honey one, but that one's hard to get. But the Madeira I always saw. There was another one, and I cannot remember what it was. And then there was the cast strength bourbon. It's pretty good. I've had a couple of those single barrels. They're really good. This one in particular, man, this is a cherry bomb. It's really good.
There's definitely a couple like that. All right. Well, oh, Jesus Christ. We're already rolling up in an hour.
I know.
Whiskey Crusaders is not on after us tonight. They were on earlier tonight. If you didn't see it, they were talking to Scott Blackwell from Highwire. Hey, check that out. It's nice when the computer works right when you have it flipped around. Check that out. Right on there. Talking to him about some of the releases they had in the corner. So if you didn't see that, go jump over there because I love Highwire. They do some great stuff there.
Yes.
Oh,
and at some point we're going to have the Highwire.
We have to make sure Alan gets
somebody who shall remain nameless is still sitting on those bottles.
So it's not
Benjamin.
No, it's Alan. There was they brought it to me when I was there for the thing. Ben brought it to me, and I had no way to bring it out with us later that evening. So Alan has that bottle at his house. He has to make that arrive.
I have a bottle too. Ben has my bottle.
Oh, well, what the hell?
Exactly.
Okay, we're getting on Ben's ass. He's got to get back on here. We have questions.
Everybody tag him.
Tag him.
Tag Ben tonight. Just say, what the hell, Ben?
What the hell? What the hell, no Mohawk? Live up to your bet. If you don't remember that.
First of all,
where's your Mohawk?
Yeah. We were supposed to be doing Weaves for Eves, and he was going to have a Mohawk, and he totally shit the bed on that. Now he's sitting on whiskeys, and he's not coming through. You guys need to step up and start harassing me, guys.
Start leaning on him. Give him a little. Give him a little.
Exactly.
Then make sure to hashtag us in it. Just
everybody post Ben with "Where's your Mohawk, asshole?" and then hashtag send the whiskey. Do it that way.
Do it that way. Follow Mike's rules. Yeah. And that's
yes.
See how far that goes through. But yes, I was working with Alan and them, but since it hadn't gotten here, I kind of put that on hiatus at the moment. So once that does get back, we're going to have an opportunity for everyone out there to taste the smoked Jimmy Redcorn and Benton's fat and smoke warehouse. Oh my God, man. And I did give a little bit of the way because I was, if you've ever been to Kentucky, I was at Bourbon's Bistro, was there for the event for Alan Bishop Experience. I got the bottle. Mike from behind the bar. If you're ever there, Mike's there. Talk to Mike. You tell him what you want. He will find you a whiskey or make you a drink that is absolutely outstanding. Dude knows his craft like no other. And I had to give him a taste. He's like, "You're having what?" I was like, "Oh, haha, hold on. Sorry." So I had to crack it for Mike and give him a taste. I thought that was fair. I think everyone
I think that's fair.
I think that's would understand if you're going. And how many places can you go into late at night and crack a bottle and be like, give the bartender a drink and no one questions you about it?
Yeah.
So there were like 10 people at the other end of the bar were like, "Mike, what the fuck are you drinking?" So he did bring the bottle down there. It was like a split second where I had a mild heart attack. I was like, hold on, don't just start pouring that for everyone. That wasn't the intention of the evening. And he did not. But got a little more notoriety that evening because that has a really unique, cool, smoky punch right off the bat on that one. They get a little bit of fat kind of drippings going through it. Actually, it's off the still. It's pretty great. They have it aging. They'll be doing, I believe, another release coming up at a year. So maybe we'll wait till it hits about a year when they're doing that one, and we'll do maybe a 1-2 punch release and have Alan on because Alan Benton was going to come on as well too. and that gives you a chance to go get some of his bacon or ham online. He has stuff. It's only $8. You don't have to buy a $270 ham. You can just buy an $8 slab of bacon, and join us that evening. So once that starts happening and comes to fruition, and that's why, like Mike said, lean on Ben. Give him a little elbow. Well, you guys want that to happen. You want to be able to have us send you that whiskey.
Tag Ben in any post. Just tag Ben if you're friends with him and say, "Where's the Mohawk asshole?" And then use the hashtag send the whiskey. I think you should totally do that.
I'm hoping people do that. We might. I'll make a post for it on my whiskey den tomorrow. But I hope all of you out there watching now get on his ass before I get to do that tomorrow.
You should totally do that. Also coming up, the Bourbon Turntable, who's here in the chat. Yes. We were on with them again, and we love those guys dearly. Had a lot of fun with them talking about new whiskey that was new to us and new music. It was a really good conversation with them. So if you're not listening to Bourbon Turntable or watching Bourbon Turntable, you should be doing that. They've had really good stuff coming up. And also on the schedule, this is all, samples permitting, August 15th, we'll have Golden Beaver Distillery. Golden Beaver, if you can look them up. Golden Beaver has been on Distillers Talk, one of our partner shows. You should talk with them. Chris Koenig has been on there. He's been on Bourbon Turntable. His big thing is making rice in whiskey as a grain and rice whiskey itself. Trying to get that to be a category. The whiskey's really good, guys. I've had aged and unaged. It's really, 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 really good. But yeah, go back and listen to some stuff on Bourbon Turntable and Distillers Talk with Chris talking about that stuff. We're looking really, really forward to that.
And I have not had it, but rice whiskey, and I may have to see if there's some way we can get another bottle or something. Is a big deal here in Wisconsin because there was a Laotian distiller who was making rice whiskey. And it was really, they had some issues after they started getting going, so it never really got full legs and got to move on. But for what they were producing, it was really interesting with kind of the rice whiskey they were doing. So I'm excited to see that coming out from them, just because I know what the promise was.
Yeah. And that episode too, that was a separate show that you can find. That was a bar cart co-op. It had alternative grains with Alan, Chris Koenig, and Dry Fly Whiskey, talking about using alternative grains in distilling. And that was a really good episode also to watch. That's like, what gets you excited about whiskey? Being different and fun and cool. And and Golden Beaver, if you do your homework, look them up. They have fun with their name. But also they are really big about the conservation of the beaver in that area. But yes, they also still have fun with that. They have very fun t-shirts. Unfortunately, they cannot ship outside of California. So you need California mules.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you got a Californian, hit them up.
Yep. Oh, I think Oscar. Never mind. I didn't mention that.
Everybody tag Oscar.
Everybody tag Oscar.
Hashtag where's my whiskey? No.
Well, let's start with
just
Ben.
Don't forget, if you're friends with Ben, just randomly tag him with at Benjamin Eves, where's the Mohawk asshole? And then don't forget to use the hashtag send the whiskey.
Both of those. Highly important. I mean, we didn't get her on the show and we lost his Mohawk. I feel like it was a double loss on the Eves end on that one.
I know.
I'm not going to disparage their family lineage, but it's not looking good.
And Emily with the links. She's fast.
She is. Jesus Christ, man. I can't keep up with that stuff. You're in the chat. I'm
best wrench in the business, people.
Damn right. And she herself had a little cameo over on, oh my God, was it Bourbon Bites?
Yeah.
Yeah,
she did.
Had a little cameo over there.
We got to
about
get her
some
on here to
whiskey.
help us with the tasting.
We do. We'll see if she lets us do that one at some point. I think people want to hear her views on some of this stuff. You know what? Ben hasn't been on yet. So I have
Should be like Frank Costanza. Here's another thing that's pissing me off, you people.
Dude, we would create a special segment.
Things that piss off Emily.
But we'll see if we can get this one here. The Naturalist Spirits, because it's totally weird. Totally throws a wrench and flavor profile and everything, anything that you're thinking about. But at the same time, couldn't you sit down with that in a glass of ice and demolish an entire bottle? I brought it over to my mother-in-law's birthday. I was pouring myself. She's like, pour me one too. I did. And I looked over. Her glass is like here, like in 2 drinks. And I was like, oh. She's like, how much is this? Like, it's only like 15. It's not that bad. I'm like, there used to be like a 30% version. I'm like, 50. I got all hammered on wine. I'm like, well, ready to get hammered on this because you tore into that.
Yeah, it's that cantaloupe liqueur is crazy.
I like that.
To get further off track away from Tennessee whiskey.
Oh, yeah, fuck it. This way.
But yeah, to recap, Nelson's Green Brier, sour mash, Tennessee whiskey. I think that's a hell of a daily drink. It's really good. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Very enjoyable whiskey. Blue Note. I've liked everything that I've had from Blue Note. They're doing great things with picking, blending, whatever it is they're doing. Don't mess with it because that 10-year single barrel, super good. The 2 uncut Blue Notes that I've got, holy crap, they're good. That's just really good whiskey. And going further in Tennessee, because it's Tennessee night, Leaper's Fork, hell yeah. That Leaper's Fork is damn good whiskey. Chattanooga, got nothing but love for Chattanooga as well.
Yeah,
so
like said,
yeah,
it's a whole other little mini hotbed that's popping up.
Yeah,
because and this isn't like Nola that was that one. You weren't there. I was with Kevin when we were in Louisville, and Nola. Weird thing about them, we went to their place and we were gonna get a tour at some point. We didn't quite have enough time because we were meeting someone, but they only get like a case of their own whiskey, which I find crazy. 6 bottles go to the bar and 6 bottles go to the tasting room. And everything else is online or to something else or doing some. I mean, you could taste it all at the bar for a lot of them, but that just is for me an insane way to do it. I mean, I get it. It's new wave, it's new age, and I understand that. Bam, it's gone, it's out. You're sold, it's gone. I've already made the money. We're moving on. Totally love that. But I mean, for me, when we were there, they only had 1 bottle of something I could buy. So I found that to be a little disappointing. Like, I understand the premise, the mentality, and moving forward and booming to the future and making money and capitalizing it right away, but not having like a little bit of a backstock of a few things there. Just thought it was a little out on that one. Well, yeah, shamelessly plug that. We'll plug it.
Yeah, and that's the thing that to me it's really exciting. Like watching distilleries that we've had on or that we've had their whiskey on and talked to them, and you see them just starting, people really catching on. Like, holy crap, this is like Three Boys, especially Three Boys. Yeah. I think was like a very well kept secret, and now it's like, no, it is not a very well kept secret. They know, hey, if you got a party bus, you're going to Three Boys. that's pretty much how that's going to work. Fantastic, experience going to that one. But yeah, I think there's a lot of places like that are, yeah, I mean, good on them, but
yeah, coming to fruition or really kind of coming of age in the whiskey world.
Yeah.
So
and getting recognition that they deserve too. That's the other thing.
It's about high time for some of that, because that's the part I love, is seeing that opinion change on some of the places that were small to be like, well, they're not quite small. And it's not like Wilderness Trail. And I love Dr. Pat Heist. Fantastic. Love how much he's into yeast compared to other people, and honest about, being into it, how much it actually affects things. And their production level they torqued it. I mean, they're getting towards the point of I mean, they're still in craft, but it's a higher end. You know what I mean? Like there's a bigger chunk compared to a lot of other people. It's nice to see people like them take a jump. But like you're saying, it's nice to see some of these other people get the recognition and start sticking around and getting to this 10, 12, almost 13, 14-year-old mark of being around and starting to see what they're making. Yeah. And on the world scale, when you start putting that up against other stuff, those interesting notes at that age are undeniable.
Yeah. Or even on the other end of that, you know, there's distilleries that we've talked to, people that we've talked to, that they make the way that they're making whiskey. They make a damn good 2-year-old to 3-year-old whiskey that will blow the doors off a lot of things in a blind, because they're able to make their whiskey in short fashion with a lot of flavor to it, a lot of uniqueness. See, I still can't talk. All of that there on that young whiskey. It's like, okay, that's great. Can they make an older whiskey now to appease the people that have to have, that's the age horse that have to have that? But you've got craft distillers, because they can do things with their yeast, their barrels, their grain, everything to get out a younger one. Even Limestone Branch with their single barrels that they've got. Holy crap, those are good.
Well, and then you get some people doing like with oh my God, Kelly from Hartfield, who was at Hartfield but is doing her own thing now, and gin and some other things, and even working in Barbados a bit from what it sounded like.
Coming up soon.
She's got her fingers in some other things. But producing what she did at 6 months was disturbing. When you start thinking about it, where they were in Kentucky compared to Texas and other places that have that high temperature shift on a more daily basis, that was really impressive. Some of the stuff she was doing at a younger age there.
Very much so.
All right. We're at an hour and 15 minutes. We're rolling.
All right. So
way over the
both Tennessee whiskeys were good.
Yeah, both Tennessee whiskeys were good. The blue.
Go buy that Nelson's Green Brier. Go buy that stuff. Put it on your shelf.
And don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of a single barrel of blue note when they're giving that 10-year age note. Especially that. I mean, this was 62, highly under. Nicely punchy. Punchy. I haven't had a nicely punchy since like maybe. Quick reference, hazmat iron root, something that was nicely punchy. Fucking, there's the heat. There's the flavor. There's what the fuck's going on. Yeah.
Don't sleep on the standard blue notes either.
No.
Good, very good whiskeys, good choices.
So, all right. Remember to stop in next week when we're talking about Clyde's May and a couple of their releases, reviewing that stuff. Coming up later this month, we'll probably also be doing a couple reviews. We'll see if we can tempt people on to the Natural Spirits review. You saw David on earlier this month, but we're going to review a couple of the stuff that he released on his own. So I was going to say, well, we have some other stuff coming out. Oh, and we have to do the Cedar Ridge review too.
We do. And for the last time, don't forget, if you can find Ben online on Instagram or Facebook, make sure to tag him in a post. Where's the Mohawk asshole? Hashtag send the whiskey.
That's true. And then put in Tennessee facehugger just to fuck with.
Yeah, I like that. Tennessee
facehugger. Add that.
Too. Don't search. Don't go to Urban Dictionary and search for Tennessee facehugger. Or do. I got a feeling I'm actually going to do that when this is over.
I do, because I'm kind of scared what I'm going to see.
I'm going to give you the old Tennessee facehugger.
You said they could use that, so I hope that goes on one of the shirts.
Oh, God, I hope so.
Cheers, everyone. Remember,
cheers.
It's not the size that matters. It's the love of whiskey. Oh, have a good night, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Mm.